100%. That is the disability rating the VA will pay for a lung disease you were born carrying the gene for. And the veterans who carry that gene are the exact ones most likely to hear the word no. There's one piece of paper that flips a genetic claim like this from $0 to that whole check. Most veterans who qualify never once ask for it.
I'm Erica, and here's the ruling that runs this entire video. Genetic does not mean denied. The VA can pay for a condition you were born prone to, same as a bad knee or a blown eardrum.
Leo here. Quick version. A defect is a missing or broken part you were simply born with, that the VA does not pay.
Elena here. And this is exactly where good claims die. A file lands on a desk, the paperwork says genetic, and the shortcut answer comes back born with it. Case closed. Nobody reads the story past that word, and it costs veterans everything.
But a disease that first showed up in service, or that service made worse, pays. Part versus process. A defect is a missing part. A disease is a process that starts and moves and gets worse. That settles it.
The crew just pushed up the question this topic always raises. Can the VA deny my claim just because the condition is genetic? Let's answer it straight, all video. Okay, the promised kitchen table version. By the end, you'll know the one word that decides it and the one paper that pays it. All of it is free at va.professorerica.com with guides to file it yourself. Remember where we started? 100%. That is what this single word is worth. Elena, you pulled the actual rating table for the first one, agranulocytosis. When the marrow just stops making the cell that fights infection, what does the top of that table look like?
Look at what this even is first. Your bone marrow is a factory, and its whole job is pumping out neutrophils, the white cells that hunt infection. In agranulocytosis, that line shuts down. And in uniform, the trigger usually is not a mystery. It's a reaction to a drug the military handed you.
This is the cell that goes missing. Lose it, and a sinus infection you'd shrug off becomes a hospital stay. Now the money. The VA files it under 38 CFR 4.117, and the rating climbs with how often infection actually lands.
Run the tiers with me. Continuous medicine to hold it, 10%. The growth factor shots plus infection about once a year, 30. Every 3 months, when the shots barely keep your count between 500 and 1,000, 60%.
And the top rung, 100%. A bone marrow transplant, or infections landing on average every 6 weeks. That check is $3,938.58 a month.
Sit with that for 1 second. Every 6 weeks. That's a veteran who can't hold a crowd, can't hold a job. And the part almost nobody connects is that the reason the marrow crashed in the first place is sitting right there in your
Service record. It's the drug, a reaction to something they prescribed you. That's your nexus, handed to you. The date they gave you the medication, the date your counts fell off a cliff. Line those two up and the story tells itself.
Okay, so that's a cell your body lost. Hold that number 3,938 because the next one, you're born with it baked in. And the VA's first instinct is to call born with it a defect and walk away. One thing before the next part and then we move right on. If any of this is clicking, tap that like, hit subscribe, and ring the bell for the next one. It takes a second, it costs nothing, and it helps more than you would think.
A 100,000 Americans. That's roughly how many carry alpha-1 antitrypsin deficiency, and most were never once tested for it. It is the reason a fit 40-year-old suddenly can't climb a flight of stairs.
Okay, kitchen table version. I've got a 6-year-old who asks what everything is made of, so keep it that simple. What is the protein actually doing or not doing?
Your liver is supposed to make a little bodyguard protein called alpha-1 antitrypsin. It rides the bloodstream to your lungs and shields the delicate tissue there. When the gene is off, you make a broken version, and the lungs slowly get chewed up. Roughly 100,000 Americans carry that broken version, and most never get tested. This is the actual molecule.
And it's the only genetic cause of emphysema, born with it. Where this is going matters.
So here's the thing your whole claim rides on. Take two bodies. In one, a part is simply missing from birth, like a kidney that never formed. In the other, the machinery runs. It just runs wrong, and the damage builds year after year. What's the same in both? Genetics started it. What's different is the one that keeps unfolding, keeps getting worse, is a process. And a process is a disease. Alpha-1 is that second body.
Okay, but push on that for me. If the machinery was broken from birth, isn't that just the born with it defect the VA won't pay?
One catch, and it's the whole hinge. Unlike a missing kidney, this damage isn't done at birth. Your lungs are fine for decades. Then the damage surfaces in your 30s or 40s, often after service made it worse. That's onset and aggravation, and that's exactly what the VA pays for.
And there's a second organ this same broken protein wrecks. Hold that one. Before this video ends, it can pay a whole separate rating on its own. The lungs are where most of the money is though, and the rules there confuse everybody. So I pulled in someone who knows these respiratory ratings cold. Let me get them on the line for 2 minutes.
Glad to. So, short answer, the VA does not rate the gene at all. It rates the lungs on numbers, and the number people forget is the DLCO.
That's the blow into the tube test, right?
Close, but that's the FEV-1, the blowing hard test. The DLCO is separate. It measures how well oxygen actually crosses into your blood, and alpha-1 tanks that number early 9 times out of 10 before the blowing test looks bad. So a veteran gets rated low on the wrong test and walks away. The claim side of this I know cold. Once a case goes up to the board on appeal, that's a different animal, and I'd want a VSO who lives in that world. But getting the correct test ordered up front, that's the piece most people miss.
That's gold, thank you. So the gene is not the rating. The breathing numbers are the rating. Let's put those numbers on the board.
She wrote it off as smoking. The VA almost did too. Picture an Air Force crew chief. Call her Reyes, 46. A full year beside an open burn pit. Short of breath at 45, diagnosed with emphysema, and nobody ever tested her for alpha-1.
And here's why that case is winnable. Burn pits put emphysema and COPD on the PACT Act presumptive list. The exposure is presumed, so even born with it alpha-1 lungs made worse by that smoke is aggravation. The genetics start it, the service worsens it, and worsening is exactly what the VA rates. That settles it.
So let's actually put the lung numbers on the board, low rung to the top, and I'll pin the source under this.
DLCO between 66 and 80% of predicted, 10%, 56 to 65, 30, 40 to 55, 60%, and under 40%, 100. Top of the ladder.
And notice the number at the top. Same $3,938.58, whether it's the marrow from scene 2 or the lungs right here. The condition changes. The check at 100% does not.
Wait, what does each rating actually pay a month? Cash, not codes.
Fair, no dependence, 2026 rates. 10% is $180.42 a month. 60% is $1,435.02. And 100 is that same top check.
So the whole thing can hinge on one lab value nobody ordered.
Careful here, that's the coral warning on the board. The single most common miss on these is a rater grading you on the wrong breathing test while the DLCO that would put you at 100 never gets run.
And if she files, gets 60, and then her lungs get worse, does she reopen? Same answer?
Same answer, yes. A worsening rated disease is a claim for an increase. But it decides this entire thing. Did anyone put the word chronic and the DLCO number on the paper?
So the paper's ordered, the DLCO is in hand, and now the real fork. An Alpha-1 veteran has bad lungs and a stressed liver at the same time. Which do you file first? Leo says go big on both at once. Elena thinks that's how you lose.
File both, same day. One protein caused the lungs and the liver, so it's one exposure story, and every month you wait is back pay you never get back. I'd put real money on go big.
That's how you get a thin claim denied on both. I keep a go bag by my door for a reason, so hear me out. Take the organ your doctor already documented and lead with it. And when the envelope comes back thin, a denial on the lungs can drag the liver down with it. File the proven one, plan from there.
Leo, she just named your weak spot. Answer it head on. Doesn't filing everything at once risk the whole thing sinking together?
Fair, but they're rated separately. The lungs on breathing numbers, the liver on a MELD score. One weak file doesn't sink the strong one, they stand alone.
Yeah, okay, that one's real. Rated on separate codes, separate evidence. I'll give you that they don't legally sync each other.
So pin it down, Leo. When exactly would you not file both at once?
When the liver's got no MELD score on paper yet. Then filing it half-baked just teaches the VA to say no. I'd hold that one. You know the case that keeps coming up around this exact trap? Let me actually tell it.
The one where the rater wrote congenital? Go.
A guy, call him Novak, files his Alpha-1 lungs. The file says genetic, so the answer comes back born with it, denied. He nearly quits right there. Then someone tells him the one word. He refiles it as a disease with onset in service, adds the DLCO, comes back at 100%.
So he didn't have a new fact. He had the exact word.
There's the objection, though. A skeptic says fine, but a rater who wants to deny still calls it congenital and makes you appeal for years.
And that's the one place the record ends it. Cite 38 CFR 4.9 and the General Counsel opinion, and congenital only covers a missing or malformed part. A disease that unfolds is not that. The word does the work.
Okay, the record settles this one. You both agree on the hinge. Nobody touches the lung tier without the DLCO on paper, and that's 38 CFR 4.97. So the ruling, file the lungs and the liver together, but lead your evidence with whichever organ your doctor already documented. That's the paper I promised you up top. Go big fits the veteran with a clean pulmonary test already in hand. Build slow fits the one whose file is still thin. True for almost everyone watching. Almost. There's one group where filing early actually backfires, and we're getting to them.
The liver. That's the second organ I told you to hold. The same broken protein that scars the lungs backs up in the liver and scars that too. And for a lot of Alpha-1 veterans, the liver is actually the bigger problem.
And it gets its own rating. Cirrhosis is diagnostic code 7312, under 38 CFR 4.114, totally separate from the lungs. It's scored on a MELD score, a lab measure of how the liver's failing. A MELD of 15 or higher, or fluid in the belly with debilitating symptoms, and that's 100% on the liver alone.
Now here's the part people file wrong. The lungs and the liver don't just add up. 60 plus 60 isn't 120.
Right, they combine. VA math. But two separate ratings still climb you way faster than one, and they can stack you to the top.
So the whole doctrine in one line. Genetic is not denied. The word that pays it is disease, not defect, and the paper that proves the lungs is the DLCO. Carry those two out of here and you've got the entire claim.
And pause right here for a second. Grab your rating letter and check whether anyone ever ran your DLCO. I'll wait. That one line is the difference between 60 and 100.
The chat wants the honest edge case. Is there a veteran who should actually wait to file? Tell us below. If your alpha-1 is still silent with no symptoms and no numbers yet, filing early just gets you a 0 on record. Get the test first, then file. One rule covers all of it. The VA rates the disease, never the gene. Say it back. Genetic is not denied. So where does this leave you? One ruling and everything else tonight hangs off it. The VA rates what a condition does, never where it came from.
And I'll argue the paperwork word matters more than the diagnosis. Disease. Write it, say it, make the rater read it.
Mine's more boring and worth more money. A DLCO result, sitting in your file. Boring wins.
So if tonight's the night you finally pull that old decision letter out of the drawer, read it hunting for one thing. The word they used for your condition.
We recheck every rate and rule in these videos each year, and the like and subscribe buttons are honestly what keep that lighthouse lit. Next episode, a lab result most veterans throw straight in the trash, and it's rateable all by itself. Last one, and only you can answer it. Did a rater ever write congenital on something that was plainly a disease? Put the exact wording they used in the comments. For Leo, Elena, and Erica, I'm Cynthia. Get the right word in your file. Good night, all. The best lessons feel like they came from family. Keep yours close.
8.9, Cynthia. Rounding down because grading is a science, not a feeling. This is Professor Erica. Thanks for watching and signing off.